All right, welcome to Life Extension Live. I'm Dr. Mike, and that is
Dr. Crystal.
Hey, Dr. Crystal. Today we're talking about losing your hair loss. Yeah, hey, it's a big concern for. Listen, in the past, it was always about the men. That's not true. This is hair loss is going to happen to anybody.
It could happen to anybody. Right. Yes, men, women. Younger ages,
yeah, it happens to, and so when you do like your searches and your trending stuff on Google, people are constantly searching for ways to stop the hair loss. So on today's show, we are going to talk about why do we lose our hair, also about some lab testing which can be very helpful, and then how to reverse hair loss. So let's get right into this. Why do we lose our hair? Number one reason is
genetics
And
and hormones. The genetics around hormones and how the hair follicles respond to those hormones.
Yeah. In most cases, the most common is just simply known as androgenic alopecia. That's just a fancy way of saying testosterone. And its most active metabolite is causing the hair follicles to kind of regress.
Right. And so that's where the genetics come in, because some people are more genetically predisposed to just be more sensitive. Yeah. Those follicles are just more sensitive to those hormones when they bind to the receptors. Yeah.
So if you picture it for the audience, you have testosterone, right? That's your big androgen, right? It can convert into what's called DHT. That's dihydrotestosterone. That's like, if I may say, testosterone on steroids.
It is. And the reason it is because, for testosterone or DHT to have its effect, it binds to receptors, and that DHT binds like 5 times more tightly, like a tighter affinity to those receptors in the hair follicles.
Yeah, and so that's number one. It's hormonal. There is a genetic component to that. And do you want to do the fun fact now about the?
Yes. So it's usually on the mother's side. Yeah. So men, if you're out there and you're wondering, is it going to happen to me? Look at your grandpa.
Yeah, on your mom's side.
Yes, look at your grandpa, your uncles on your mom's side.
Yeah. But, don't get too caught up into that.
Yeah, because you want to look at your dad, too.
Yeah. All right. Other causes that we want to talk about. Now, before we jump into the list here, I forgot to mention something. Okay. Especially if you're experiencing hair loss that's kind of really fast, it's rapid all of a sudden. Make sure that you got to go see your doctor. There's certain things they want to check, like thyroid, just to make sure that's like there's not a secondary cause.
That's right, and we'll talk about some labs later on.
Okay. Now, other than that, so your thyroid's okay. For most cases, it is hormonal, like we just said, but there's other causes, and I think I guess most people would understand this one or relate to this one: unmanaged stress.
That's right. Chronic stress. We do know it causes those hair follicles to go into a resting phase.
Yeah. And that's, right there, stress causes it to stop growing. Yeah. And then over time, the reason that results eventually in hair loss is if your hair's not growing, that hair's not going to live forever there.
No.
Eventually, it's probably just going to die off, right? And you're not growing anymore. It shuts your follicles at a non-growing phase. That's what stress does. Nutritional deficiencies.
Oh, man. We have a list here.
There's a nutritionist.
First thing is iron. I always talk about the iron and thinking about the role of iron in the body and how we need that hemoglobin and the iron and that it's all about oxygen, getting oxygen to your tissues. Getting nutrients to your tissues. And so what happens if you don't have that oxygen? The tissue will die. Yeah. And so you think about the brain and the scalp area.
And I do think it's, you bring up a good point about this too. And we mentioned this hair loss is not about man or woman or whatever, anybody. But we know a lot of younger females, especially in maybe perimenopausal phase where their cycles are kind of off, maybe they're heavy sometimes. You often see iron deficiencies in those settings, and a lot of women at that stage will start talking about, I'm in the shower and I wash my hair and I got a clump in my hand.
Yes.
Right? So that might be something to check into is your iron levels. Vitamin D.
Vitamin D. We have some research here. A study examined blood vitamin D concentrations in 54 men and women suffering from hair thinning in comparison to 55 subjects without hair thinning. And just shy of 80% of the participants in the thinning hair group had low vitamin D levels. So we're seeing this association between the low vitamin D and thinning hair.
I hope there's not a single audience member, that have been watching Ellie live, or maybe they catch our podcast at liveforeverish.com. All of you guys know what, you better be taking your vitamin D. This should not be our audience. We talk about this a lot.
We do, but you'll be surprised with people, the compliance. I think they if you have it, it's in your pantry, take it.
Take it, yeah. Vitamin D every day. Other things, niacin has been associated, low niacin associated with hair loss. Biotin, that's one I think a lot of people have heard of. Biotin is important, not just for hair, skin, nails, all that. But if you're low in biotin, that is going to cause some problems. Zinc.
Who knew?
Zinc, low zinc is associated with hair loss. And then all of the B vitamins.
Yeah, so niacin was one. The biotin is another B vitamin, but you just want to think about B vitamins as a whole.
B12, that was a big one on the research list. So keep all of those nutritional components in mind, because and why do we want to do that? Is because if you're going to start some sort of program to try to regrow hair or make the hair look fuller, we're going to get into all that. If you have one of these nutritional deficiencies, it's going to be an uphill battle.
Right. And this is going to save you some money because, hey, does it hurt to take some B vitamins to optimize your vitamin D? That's going to support energy, whole body health before you go paying at least for a $65 copay to the dermatologist. So start with the nutrition first.
Right. The B vitamins, the vitamin Ds, all that kind of stuff. They have an immense return on their health investment because they're cheap overall to take all the time. We also just wanted to mention, too, you brought this up to me, postpartum issues.
Nobody prepares the woman. It's what to expect. Everyone prepares you for, during the pregnancy, what to happen when the baby arrives, and no one's telling you to prepare for your hair to fall out or for your hair to start shedding. This happens to up to 90% of women postpartum.
I didn't know it was that high.
Even more if you're breastfeeding.
Whoa, see, I didn't know that.
And so no one's talking about it, and you're already kind of dealing with the impact of this child, postpartum depression.
There's stress on top of all this.
There's the stress. There's inflammation. So there's the connection between the drop in estrogen, the inflammation, the breastfeeding, which could be leading to nutritional deficiencies if you aren't still, taking nutrients. A lot of people stop their prenatal. You continue the prenatal.
Keep that going.
Keep the nutrients in your body.
Yeah. You know what? You bring this is kind of a little tangent, but we need to focus on the mom more throughout the whole thing, not just baby health and nutrition, mom health, nutrition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
Very much so.
And then speaking now from pregnancy and all that, all the way to the other end of the spectrum, menopause.
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing.
Right? Yeah. And that's related to, of course, the hormones.
The balance of hormones, so one of the things, so we gave you a list of, so hormones, the basic testosterone, DHT picture, that's going to be the most common for men and women. You got your nutritional deficiencies. And so before we jump right into treatment, listen, you why not test for some of this stuff? Yeah, because again, if you know your issue is I'm low in vitamin D, you got to get that up if you want your treatment to to have its max effect.
Right, or it helps to point you in the right direction for you to better identify what's causing my hair loss.
Yeah. So our sponsor, Life Extension, has a comprehensive hair loss panel. You can see right there, lifeextension.com/labs. Right now, there's a lab sale, right? And so everything's like 25% off. So go check that out. But in this, let's just cover this real quick, right? You got cortisol. Why are we checking cortisol?
Again, that's that stress-related hair loss.
Ferritin.
Ferritin is nice because you can identify the iron issues before you become deficient.
Right. Sometimes you may, if your doctor only checks iron levels and you have symptoms of iron deficiency, if you're getting it early, it may not show anything.
Yeah, so ferritin is that storage form of iron.
CRP.
Inflammation. It's helping you to understand if maybe there's an inflammatory issue, even an autoimmune related issue as well.
And then obviously hormones are going to be checked. The testosterones, estrogens, that DHT we talked about. Thyroid is checked.
Yes.
Comprehensive thyroid panel
and this
is
TSH, T4, free T3, reverse T3, which is also linked back to stress.
And then there's even, for some people, certain autoimmune conditions can cause some hair loss. So they're checking I would just say kind of a classic autoimmune marker in people. And then insulin levels are checked too.
Yes, and that's leading to the chronic inflammation that excess insulin is linked to hair loss.
So check that out at lifeextension.com/labs. Okay, so now let's get into what people are really interested in.
Yeah.
What do I do? What am I going to do? Let's start. Okay, so I found, Hannah found it for me. So when I was a young lad, I don't know, 20s.
Okay.
So this is like, you're talking about, late 80s, early 90s. There was an infomercial. I know when you see this, you're going to know this.
Okay.
And well, I'll tell you what, Hannah, let's just play it. Look at this. Watch this. See that? This was popular.
Looks good to me.
In the early 90s. Yeah, sure. Let's just spray paint your scalp. That'll work.
But I remember this. There's fibers though. It's not just the color.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. There is color, but then there's fibers in the paint essentially that kind of hold onto the hairs.
Yeah.
And make the hairs look a little thicker.
Okay.
That was the whole thing. Why are we showing you that? Listen, you want to try it, go for it. I don't even know if it's around. We've come a long way since this commercial and that product.
We have.
So let's get into some of our suggestions and what's going to be number one.
Of course, nutrition first.
Absolutely.
Think about protein. We know that the protein is going to support the collagen production, give you those amino acids for keratin, those structural proteins that's needed for healthy hair. So think about amino acids. Think about vitamin E, vitamin A. Those are other
key ones,
micronutrients that help with overall cell turnover of those hair follicles. So those are some things that you want to think about.
I have a question for you. So in that list of the nutritional deficiencies, low iron, low D, we talked about all that. It's interesting. We didn't have vitamin E's in there because taking a certain form of vitamin E, I think it's the tocotrienols or something, has been shown to help with hair growth. So should low E be in that group of nutritional deficiencies?
Potentially. We do know that vitamin E, specifically the tocotrienols, can help to target that binding of that DHT.
Okay.
Which is associated with the hair loss.
Anyway, just a thought. We could check that out for you guys. All right, so nutrition first. Always love that. Now, let's break this up. We're going to first talk about how to make the hair shaft. Let's make sure I get this right?
Okay.
Hair shaft thicker.
Right.
This isn't about more hair shafts. It's about what you have, making them thicker, like really thicker, like physiologically, not with that paint. right? Right?
Yes.
Inside out stuff, right? Well, some of this is not inside out.
That's what I was
Some of
going to
this
say.
is not
Some
inside
of
out.
it
Wait.
is all about the appearance as well. And that we have a lot of tricks. The ladies have a lot of tricks to make their hair look thicker.
Well, here is what. Okay, so and we're going to break this up. So talking about thicker shaft, we're going to talk about natural solutions and then kind of conventional, right? So believe it or not, I found this. I don't know if you've ever tried this. It's basically making a solution of eggs. You take eggs. It's probably just a lot of protein into the scalp. You mix it up. You add a little water so you can apply it, and you rub it in, and you leave it in for like maybe 10 minutes, and then you wash it out.
Yeah.
So I guess that's adding protein, you think, into the scalp?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. It's an at-home protein treatment. If you've ever received one at the hair salon, I've never tried the egg. Although my beautician told me to try it just last weekend, but she told me to use egg with mayonnaise.
Okay, maybe just so it...
Let us know if you've ever tried that at home. Have any of you ever tried? I mean, you see it in all the old movies. You just mix the egg, mix the mayonnaise.
I've never seen this in any movie.
Really? It's like a homemade deep protein conditioning treatment. Okay, and then you let it sit for, in the longer...
And we're talking about raw eggs. We're not talking about cooked eggs. Don't cook your eggs and do this. Raw eggs.
Have you tried it at home? Tell us.
Yeah, let us know. Olive oil, especially when you get a massage. That I wonder if that's more about reducing inflammation in the scalp. Probably
that's what I'm thinking.
That's where that's going.
Or if the scalp is dry. Sometimes when the scalp is dry and kind of flaky, that can just impair the growth of the hair.
And I bet it just, especially if you do have dry scalp, it probably just feels good. I mean, hey, come on, scalp massages feel good regardless.
Yes.
Right? And then now, we just wanted to mention this real quick. There's a lot of products that are starting to pop up that have to do with infrared. There's infrared hats. I've seen even kind of weird looking infrared helmets almost like where,
Yes.
And so what do we... I think overall, didn't we decide that the brands that make these infrared products do have a lot of claims, they do have some research maybe that they've done to back it up. But did we really find anything significant?
We did find some promising research to show that the infrared hats or getting that infrared to the scalp can help. And so what's happening is improving blood flow. To the scalp area.
And again, and that goes back to your idea of more oxygen, more nutrients.
More nutrients, yes.
Yeah. You got to think about, hair follicles are metabolically active. I mean, they're growing throughout your entire life. They go through a growth cycle that's pretty fast overall. They need nutrients.
Right. And I like that, Dr. Mike, because it takes the attention away from the hair and gives the attention to the scalp.
Yeah, scalp health.
Yes,
is really important. And if the scalp is healthy, the follicles are healthy, and your hair is probably going to be pretty healthy.
Yeah,
so that's kind of the connection. All right, going now to again, we're still talking about thickening that shaft, not adding more hairs, just thickening what you got. That was natural. Some of the conventional things would be panthenol in your shampoo.
Yes, that's vitamin B5. I'm sure it won't be hard to find on the shampoo aisles. Yes, but there is some research that they may help to thicken the hair shaft.
Yeah, and I think if you get it over the counter, the amount of panthenol is probably not that high. There are prescription shampoos too that have much higher levels of panthenol, plus some other things that help with the hormone side of it as well. But yeah, panthenol in shampoos and conditioners can also help to thicken. Now, let's talk about more hair.
Yeah.
More hair. And again, let's do it. Let's look at natural, and then we'll look at kind of the conventional side of things. So number one, natural, to help more hair, and I like this, is something called beta sitosterol. Explain that to us.
That is a sterol that you find in saw palmetto. You find it in pygeum. You find it in nettle root. These are kind of herbal preparations that you're getting a concentrated source of this beta sitosterol. And what this is targeting is the hormone related hair loss.
Right.
When that testosterone or the testosterone on steroids.
Yeah.
DHT,
Blocking that. Yeah.
Blocking that that conversion of the testosterone into that more potent form that is associated with the hair loss.
And in most cases, I think you can probably find topical solutions of this, but most of this is going to be oral, right?
Yes.
Oral concentrated beta testosterone to block that conversion of testosterone to DHT.
Hey, and then listen, remember we talked about the lab testing where you can test your testosterone, you can test the DHT. And so you can maybe do a pre and post test to see if the DHT levels are coming down.
Like
that. That's the key.
I like
that. Can I get that DHT down?
All right, so there you go. That's beta testosterone. And then number 2 is solubilized keratin.
Yeah, we put this in. There is a research paper looking at this oral solubilized keratin combined with some collagen peptides as well as some vitamins and minerals for 90 days. And so 90 days of the solubilized keratin, there was a 34% less hair loss compared to placebo and an improvement in that growth to resting phase, kind of that ratio.
That cycle.
It's keeping you in the growing phase longer.
Right. And that's what we want. That's how, and that's really using your own body now to really build up those hair follicles. So that's solubilized keratin. And then D-panthenol, which we already talked about in the shampoos for thickening, has been shown to be a marker of like follicular proliferation, the growth of these hair follicles. And then they even reduce, I don't want to go in the weeds with this, but cells and stuff in your body at some point when they get a little older, they often will kill themselves off. That's called apoptosis. And it's been shown that D-panthenol kind of reduces that, keeping that follicle around longer. And then, we did put tocotrienols here. That's a form of vitamin E that could also help get some more of that hair that you need, right?
Yes.
Now, I mean, I would love for people to start with the stuff we just described, but there are prescriptions out there, right? If that's where you want to go, I mean, the most common is going to be Propecia.
Yeah.
Right. That's basically minoxidil minoxidil, and those are strong blockers of that conversion of testosterone to DHT.
Right. And so in that minoxidil, that's what's in Rogaine. Very popular, right?
Yeah.
And so it can be used topically with the Rogaine, and it's working on that same hormone, the DHT, where that testosterone turns into DHT. That pathway.
Just my opinion.
Okay.
And it goes back because I'm an integrative physician.
Okay.
Right? And so if I can get a good result with something natural versus something that's a chemical prescription, why not give that a chance first? So I would suggest the beta testosterone.
Yeah.
That's doing the same thing here. See if that lowers your DHT. Get a baseline DHT level. Check it again after about 3 months. And if you're getting a nice drop, you should also see that as some hair. Maybe you don't need that stronger and more expensive prescription. Just my thoughts.
I like it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So a lot of really good information here. Let's go with the last fun fact. And I wonder if we should ask them. Should we ask them the question?
We can, yes.
All right. Here's the question. How often should you wash your hair? And does it really matter to hair loss or whatever, all that kind of stuff? Do, 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 do. We need more music stuff. Where's my buzzers, Robson? Taking my buzzers away. Well, that was pretty good.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Crystal, what are your thoughts on that question?
I'll have to, it depends on who you ask, and it's not a one answer a one answer question that will fit all people. It depends on what kind of hair you have. It depends on your scalp. Is it dry? Is it oily? If you don't wash your hair, does oil build up? that's an individual who they may benefit from washing their hair daily. I like that Miriam Muhammad once a week. That's kind of where the research is showing
that doesn't seem like enough for me.
You don't have to wash your hair every day, 3 days, every 3 days to once a week. It's just fine for someone who has
the drier hair.
Because if you wash it too often, you're stripping the oils from that hair.
See, I'm totally opposite of that. I'm on the oily side.
Yeah.
I have to wash every day. One day of not washing my hair, you can see it, right?
Yeah.
But then, my son Nate, he could go 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And looks perfectly normal.
You would never know.
You would never know. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it's one of those things where do you have to wash it every day? It could be damaging if so. So it all depends.
Depends on your own kind of head, your own physiology.
Yes.
Great information. Hopefully we were able to help you out a little bit here. Think about some of those causes. Think about those nutritional deficiencies. Hey, go for that test right now, lifeextension.com/lab. I think it was lab, right? Lab. Yep, labs with an S. There it is. You get 25% off. Start there, because remember, this is important. I've said it twice. I'm going to say it again. If you're wanting to have thicker shafts, if you're wanting to regrow your hair, but you have one of those nutritional deficiencies, let's say your thyroid's off, who knows, whatever it is, it's going to be an uphill battle. So you want to correct those hormonal imbalances, correct those nutritional deficiencies, and whatever program you decide, it's going to work better.
I agree. And then if you find that you're still struggling, see a dermatologist.
Oh, for sure.
Don't wait.
Yeah.
Because there are some other strategies that maybe they can incorporate to help, especially if it's immune-related hair loss.
We have some more information, too, at lifeextension.com/hair loss. Is that a protocol or an article?
No, that is an article, Which Vitamin Deficiencies Cause Hair Loss. It's a wellness blog.
There you go. And while you're there, check out the lab. But also, when you're there, if you when you get to check out, use the code LELIVE, and you get 10% off $50 or more plus free shipping and handling. That's the code LELIVE. Don't forget, we go live every Wednesday at 12 noon, and we go live across a bunch of different channels now, right?
We do.
YouTube, Facebook, I always forget the list, whatever. So wherever you watch us, go ahead and subscribe, follow, do what you have to do so that channel reminds you when we're going live on Wednesdays at 12 noon Eastern. I'm Dr. Mike. That is
Dr. Crystal.
We'll see you next Wednesday.